did this ourselves.
They're coming. It can't be.
Where is everyone?
Hey, survivors, welcome back to the Apocalypse Postcast, a podcast. I'm Makeshift, your host, and one of my favorite things about Apocalypse festivals is, one, that there's so many of them, but two, the more important part, they're so different, and it all depends on where they are. So the world's largest Mad Max festival, Wasteland Weekend, takes place in the Mojave Desert. And so you get that like Mad Max, the Road Warrior kind of feel where it's completely desolate. It's not survivable. I mean, the Mojave is really tough to live in even today. With all of our modern technology and infrastructure, it's still hard to live in. But then when you head east, you start to get some different feels. So when you're talking about Aftermath or the Junkyard Festival, they're in the South, Georgia and Alabama, and they're very green. And you just end up with this totally different feel. So you can actually still get a little bit of that humidity, the plant life, a lot of insects, that kind of thing. But also you get a lot more like cloudy days. You could get rain. And today we're going to be talking to another festival that takes place in Oklahoma. It's called Atomic Falls, so named because it used to take place at an abandoned water park, but they've moved on from that location, but kept the name and kind of tweaked it a little bit. They're going to tell you all about that in a little bit. Oklahoma is really neat because it's also green, but then as it gets into the summer, it turns into this like auburn, golden brown. So it has that kind of like dried out feel. And just depending on how the weather is, it could be green, it could be brown, who knows? But it totally offers a whole different aesthetic. And here's another thing. So Wasteland Weekend takes place on private property in the middle of the Mojave. There's nothing there in the off season at all. Detonation, that takes place at Uranium Springs in Arizona, that's an owned piece of property, and they have allowed permanent structures. And so there's a whole shanty town there. Junkyard used to take place at a literal junkyard. Now it takes place in more of like a workshop type situation. And Atomic Falls, even though it used to take place at that abandoned water park, has a brand new location that's actually like a paintball and airsoft tournaments or games, or just when you just run around and shoot each other with plastic pellets. So what's really cool about those kind of locations is they'll just throw a bunch of garbage everywhere. And they're going to tell you how well decorated this place is. But just imagine, like a boneyard of all the coolest military stuff laying around. And that's just part of the atmosphere. So I think that's really cool how all the different festivals kind of use what they have available to them to create these unique experiences. No matter which festival you go to, you're still going to end up with a whole bunch of awesome wastelanders who are all there for the love of this genre of TV and movies and comic books and stories. And they're all awesome people. Well, maybe not all of them. A few of them have weeded themselves out because, they just can't not be a dick. That's rule number one when you go to these festivals. Don't be a dick. And there might be other rules that go along with that, but it all comes down to that. Just be a good person, and everyone's going to get along. And I think, the smaller the event, the less the chance that you're going to end up with some real problem characters. So some of these smaller events can actually be really great. And for people that get intimidated by 5,000 people in the Mojave Desert, going to one of these smaller events could be a really great way to find yourself in the community, to experiment with some new characters or some new art, costumes. If you want to try out like a camp idea without having 5,000 people walk through your front lawn, this is the place to do it. And I think that's really cool. So what else is going on? Is there anything in the real world at this point where we're coming to the end? Not the end. We're never going to be out of this pandemic. It's going to be with us for a long time, right? But we're coming down to the end of it being a major social barrier. Across the country, people are getting vaccinated, which is great. Get your vaccinations, guys. They do not have 5G chips. Bill Gates is not going to be tracing you through a vaccine. And by the way, I've got my vaccine about 4 weeks ago when this comes out. And the needle is so small. Literally, you could not fit a microchip in there. You might fit a nano chip, but how are you going to power it? Anyway, the conspiracies can all, fuck off, because they're getting in the way of our apocalypse festivals. All right, guys. I guess that's about it. I'm really excited that the world's opening up again, getting back to normal, and we can start going to festivals again. This is going to be great because Atomic Falls, which is in June 23rd to 27th, it's going to kind of kick off a summer of getting back to normal. And we're going to talk to some of the other festivals that are going to take place over the next few months. And I'm hoping to go to as many of them as possible. Of course, the real world work and stuff is going to prohibit me from going to all of them. But I'm definitely going to more than one this year. We'll just get that out of the way. Okay. Well, guys, I hope you're enjoying the show. And I'm going to get out of the way here and open the space back up for me as I have a wonderful conversation with Slay and Killjar of Atomic Falls. Right after this quick word from a Wastelander. Here we go.
Oh, hey! Welcome to Wasteland Where? Or we're better known as the Grotto. What we got here is a fine bunch of merchandise that we do in the real world. What we do in the real world is screen printing, embroidery, graphic design. If you need anything like that, you can get a hold of us at Golden Grotto Silk Screening at goldengrotto.net, 530-841-0543. Or you can find us on the webpage, the Facebook thing, at Wasteland Where.
Hello, Killjar and Slay. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us, Makeshift. I'm glad we've survived long enough to talk with you.
Awesome. And Slay, say hi.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Makeshift. It's good to hear from you again.
You too. So glad you guys are here. I know Atomic Falls is coming up really soon, but why don't you guys kind of describe what it is? Is it a festival? Is it an art show?
Well, Atomic Falls is a post-apocalyptic festival. This year it's taking place June 23rd through the, what is 27th. The last day? The 27th. So that last part of June. It takes place at D-Day Adventure Park, located in Wyandotte, Oklahoma. We will be out there camping in the wilds of the Oklahoma landscape that entire time. We're going to have lots of really cool shit. As of right now, we've got a good number of people going. But yeah, it's a post-apocalyptic festival in the wilds of Oklahoma.
Awesome. That's great. So, a lot of people have heard about Wasteland Weekend. We know that there's festivals all across the country. What is going to make yours different from what people have experienced at these other festivals?
Well, we actually draw a lot from our attendees. It's very important for us to have our attendees be participants and not just visitors. We really enjoy the camps that bring different activities, everything from karaoke to burlesque shows. We have a tent that sets up like a game tent and casino type area.
Awesome.
And we even have our very own barter town where people are welcome to come and barter or trade, or I think there may even be some old world money that floats around there a little bit for certain goods. So,
but the aesthetic of Atomic Falls is going to be different than what people may have experienced if it's their first time attending a post-apocalyptic festival in this type of area, where there's woods and there's green and things like that. That's going to be completely different. It'll offer a different aesthetic background than what people have experienced before. The park that the event takes place at has infrastructure already in place. They host paintball and airsoft tournaments there. And so there's a lot of structure that's already in place that we build off of when we put our city together. There's downed aircraft. There's a helicopter, a large chunk of a commercial airliner, old military vehicles.
And the park owner literally has an APC and a artillery tank that we end up driving around the grounds as well. So.
Yes, it actually runs and drives, and he will take attendees around the park
on
on
top
this
of the tank.
thing.
Oh my gosh.
It is absolutely amazing.
That is so cool.
We actually had a car smash here a couple of years ago. Of course, we didn't have it Atomic Falls last year because of COVID, and we're glad we can, with precautions, we're starting to realize that we can do outdoor events here, luckily. But in the years past, we had a car smash, and the car smash turned into a car being rolled over, and then that shortly turned into the groundskeeper Terry taking the APC and actually driving it over the car. So it's fun. Things happen. It's the wasteland.
Now hold up, because car smash. I'm picturing this is probably an old car, and a bunch of people just pick up like bats and pipes and stuff and just smack it.
Kind of.
Well, we there was some safety protocol. We had to kind of let people take turns, and make sure that everybody got safety glasses and crap like that. But still, if you have a homemade weapon that you might want to see what happens to a car when you use it and never had the opportunity, well, we had the opportunity then.
Yes.
So
there was a funny story about that. There was actually a Nickelback CD in this vehicle that got knocked loose during the car smash.
Uh-huh.
And someone had made the joke of, "This is why the world ended. Nickelback." And they mounted it to their staff and were walking around the rest of the event with this Nickelback CD hanging from their staff. So, man, that was a lot of fun. If we were to have that again, I don't know if our insurance would allow for it again. We were maybe this wasn't the smartest thing ever.
That was kind of a gray area we skirted around there, but it was still entertaining, and it was a good focal point.
For sure,
for that particular day.
See, now that's why people should make sure they don't miss an event, because you never know what will never be able to happen again.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Yeah. We one year I'm big into the vehicles, and that was one of the biggest draws to Mad Max, where all these crazy awesome vehicles driving around, cars and trucks and stuff, and that kind of morphed into the rat rods and me liking hot rods and so much. Well, not everybody can make one of these great big huge awesome vehicles, but some people can mod four-wheelers or ATVs or motorcycles or riding lawnmowers and crap. So we end up having an impromptu drag show where participants actually raced from one location down a stretch, got lipstick put on them by ladies that were helping with the spa apocalypse, where you get your hair and your makeup done. And then you would have to turn around and race back to where you had started from, where other ladies put on eye makeup. And then you had to turn around again and race back through the finish line to see who had won. And that was totally impromptu and ended up being an absolute blast. There were people watching, the people getting makeup that were driving vehicles, everybody looking like they had huge red lips and black eyes. It was really great. It was really great.
A lot of fun. But yeah, and then we've also had an actual drag show. The first year, one of our attendees, some of us, myself included, we have drag alter personas.
Nice.
Yeah, my drag king persona is Phil McCocken, and I mean everybody
said hell yeah.
Everybody loves him. He's kind of like this, I don't know, kind of like redneck ladies man of sorts. On stage, he crushes beer cans and says, all the ladies want him and all the men, want to be him. And that's one of my favorite things. I kid you not, I feel more comfortable on stage in drag than I do performing as myself in the burlesque show, because we've had burlesque before as well. And that's the really cool thing. Every single year we have had people that have brought different things to the table. And while we have some stuff that relays over every year is
a little bit
different.
A little bit different, yeah. Each camps or attendees may decide they want to bring karaoke. Or at our camp we actually had a thing called death darts, and they were lawnmower blades welded into a plus sign with the ends cut into points. and you kind of throw them like horseshoes because they're kind of heavy, and people walking by. Of course, we had a little safety area there, where you wouldn't like stab someone in the head, but people, oh my goodness, and we always, want people to participate. We want people to be a part of it because it's not just us out here playing like it's the end of the world. It's everyone else who shows up and them bringing something to the end of the world as well.
Yeah,
that's so great, and I think that's part of like what makes these festivals so great is we're all attendees, but we're also all the show.
exactly.
We're all both on stage and the audience at the same time. We're all and I love Wasteland Weekend amongst other festivals. It's like the best thing to do is just go hop from camp to camp and just see like what are you guys doing? What's your shtick? What make me laugh? Like feed me something weird,
Yes, absolutely.
Feed me something weird with consent. Like let me know what I'm eating first. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. Okay, so give me a little bit of the lay of the land. I know you said you've got all these like broken down military vehicles, which is awesome. Do you have like a themed zone, or is it kind of interspersed camping?
Well, we try to keep everybody who's close to downtown area, because there's a big church there where normally the Chug and Slug sets up a bar. They'll be there again this year. And it's close to where Bartertown is. We have our own Bartertown where we can sell and trade for goods, of course. And we try to keep everybody who's close to downtown in theme. We want your camp to look like it's a shanty. We want stuff to be covered up. We don't want to see your shiny cars. But as you start getting kind of out towards the edges of the area there, it's a little okay then to have like you might see a tent that's only covered with a sheet or something, and then as you get even farther out, then you start seeing camps that aren't really in theme at all, and we're okay with that. We just want to make sure that when people show up, they're having fun and everybody's participating. This is not a spectator sport. So
in our downtown area, Killjar had already mentioned. There's a church structure, which we use as a bar because what else would we use it for? And on either side of that, there's some structure that people have set up and used in the past. But there's more room for growth there. So if somebody wanted to use those areas.
And of course, that's where our stage is at.
Yeah,
and
our stage is there in the middle of town. And so our town area is literally that. It's a town where everyone is drawn to kind of both during the day and in the evening. So it's really great. You will still have to kind of, walk to different places. I mean, we're not so small and tight knit that everything is kind of jammed into one area. But the great thing about our event is because it's on a smaller scale, it's kind of very like intimate and you get to know everyone. Yeah. And we don't so strictly hold people to like this really, really like all of these aesthetic rules that you have to camp super far away. You're not going to be in the middle of town, but you're still going to be close enough to where, when you've had too much to drink at the Chug and Slug, someone could walk your drunk ass back to your camp and it's not like a huge trek to get there. Yeah.
Gotcha. And are there tribes or like theme zones?
I mean, kind of. Yeah. I mean, we definitely have tribes and clans and groups that come to our event. We Rust Riders and Chug and Slug,
Backyard Bruisers.
Yeah, we have a lot of tribes, and we do have kind of like a theme zone application of sorts, or maybe like a tribe application, and that gets sent to the person that's in charge of event layout, and he will look at the size of the camp that you're bringing, how much you need, if you are going to be hosting some sort of something at your camp, things of that nature. And then he takes a look at the layout and figures out where to put you. Yeah. So yes, we have, if you're bringing a large tribe and you kind of want a set space, you need to apply for it. But we don't want people to feel that they have to, apply for something in order to be
just to show up, with 2 or 3 or 4 people, even though you have a great camp, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, set up a placement application type thing. So
gotcha. Cool. And as far as, the way people dress and the way they decorate their camps and stuff, where are people drawing inspiration? Because obviously you're not quite the same as like a Mad Max, like desert festival. So you must be drawing a lot more inspiration from other stories, other media. what kind of ideas can people find at Atomic Falls?
Well, so being in the middle of the country, there's still a little bit of grass here. There's still some trees left. The aesthetic of Mad Max was always like a desolate desert where nothing grew and everything was dead, and that was one version of the end of the world. Well, here, we always used to make jokes, because here we are, we're almost kind of in the South, and we used to make jokes about, why hasn't anyone cosplay, and that's really what it is, but made up an outfit of some, backwoods, hillbilly such, who doesn't even know that the world has ended because they've just been living off grid forever anyways. And
that's funny.
It is funny because that's something that, we joke about, kind of tongue-in-cheek type thing, but really, if it happened that way, if the world did end, you probably would end up with these types of people. So,
of course you would.
So here's a short story here. It was the first year at the new site location at D-Day Adventure Park, and we had not met the groundskeeper yet. His name's Terry, and his wife Teresa, and they're really great people. Well, they came rolling in, and again, never had met these people before in our lives. And he has this rat rod Jeep truck thing, which draws my attention right away. I'm like, holy crap, what the hell is this thing? This thing's freaking badass. And as they start, lopity-lope through town, and drive past, I'm looking at how cool this car is. Well, in the back of this little pickup truck, they have an old Coca-Cola bottle container, flat container,
Mm-hmm.
and in it were a whole bunch of little plastic bottles all made up to look like Molotov cocktails. And I'm like, holy shit, it's this is really cool. Who the hell are these people? Well, as he gets out of the vehicle, they are dressed in this persona, in this backwoods. He's in coveralls with no shirt on underneath. The bottoms are all ratted up and dirty and looking gross. He's got a straw hat on that looks like it's been around for 50 years or something, all nasty around.
Straight up Deliverance.
Straight up Deliverance looking people. And she gets out of the passenger side, and she's dressed in a freaking, a muumuu or something, a onesie, floral dress. It's all super faded. And again, it's all gross and nasty down around the bottom. And then she's wearing a little sun hat looking thing that, again, totally distressed, totally looks the part, and it has the little tag hanging off the side, who was it, a Mini Pearl or whatever off the Hee-Haw show. And I'm just I'm losing my shit. I'm y'all are fucking killing it right now. It's who are you? This is great. Well, it turns out they, being a caretaker there at the park, he mows and stuff before some of the paintball events and airsoft, which we don't do paintball and airsoft at Atomic Falls, but he's just there all the time. And while doing groundskeeping stuff, he collects bones, because it's in the woods. You got deer, there's pig out there, there's all kinds of stuff. Well, he has collected these bones, and they have used these bones to decorate outside of their camp area. Their camper was actually a reclaimed RV that had burned, and the whole backside of the RV was burned. It was gone, and he had made it into a toy hauler, so you could drive his little Jeep truck thing up on the back of this camper. But then when they got to where they were going, that flat deck on the back ended up being a freaking porch. And they had a shitty ass tarp hanging over the porch, and had rocking chairs out there.
Yes.
And then the front half of the camper trailer that was still a trailer was then able to be their living quarters, where they had all their their bed and everything else actually set up inside. So and their barter, they brought barter items.
Oh my gosh.
And their deal was they had made little tomato plants. They had actual tomato plants in busted coffee mugs, mugs that didn't have handles on them and stuff like that. And they had those lined up outside of their camp as their barter table. They were bartering, plant vegetables or vegetable plants.
That's so great.
Oh yeah, I'm dude, this is freaking badass.
So yeah.
Anyway, so short story long. So
yeah. So
yeah.
I'm not going to coin that aesthetic apocalypse hillbilly. That's it.
Yeah. I like that.
So
I like that.
In addition to the apocalypse aesthetic, we kind of draw a little bit more from I know Book of Eli was kind of desolate as well, but a little green. Not so much Water World because, I mean, we're not living in an ocean. But our aesthetic at Atomic Falls, it's kind of, I don't know, we have a little bit of everything. It gives people the opportunity to maybe delve into an aesthetic that they haven't necessarily been able to before, or something that might interest them, or a way that they might want to go. I shouldn't say a lot of our coloring is different. I think that kind of still pulls from, a desert.
You mean like the color
festival.
palette of the whole thing?
Yeah. The backdrop is different. I think, I don't know.
There is still some green, but the grass is kind of gray and brown still in certain areas, because as it starts to grow during the spring, you'll have some leftovers from the year before. So you still have some of that,
the greenery,
the green and the browns, but it's not desert,
Yeah.
But the camps that show up are really what kind of, and we keep coming back to that because it's really the attendees that make the event, and people draw from Fallout, or we talked about the Book of Eli, or even video games, not even Fallout, but like Borderlands, where they have a little bit brighter colors, but they're still distressed and dirtied and still look the part. We're not gonna completely shun anybody who has something a little bit neon on their person, or anything. That would be really kind of crappy in my opinion. But as long as it's made to look weathered and distressed and like it could have been in the apocalypse, absolutely, let's make it part of the apocalypse.
Yeah, let's try it.
Yeah, so it sounds like you guys do a little bit more of like the punk style stuff, along with all the black leather and
we can do
earth tones.
For sure. Yeah, there's not really anything that we aren't willing to try. If somebody, has some sort of aesthetic that they're like, this is what I'm thinking about, what do you think about it? Bring it to the table.
Now we're not like like cyberpunk type stuff. We're not big into that aesthetic, and even though we haven't had zombies and we don't really like push that idea, if you want to show up again looking like maybe somebody off The Walking Dead. I don't know about like one of the walkers necessarily, just like throw blood on yourself and call it an outfit. I don't think I'd go with that. But, still, if that's going to be part of the aesthetic and something you want to go with, then, we would certainly be open to the idea of it.
For sure.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. So, zombies would be cool. Would aliens fit? Like anything like that?
Well, the alien apocalypse kind of pulls into a little bit more of like the cyberpunk idea of it, at least kind of in my opinion. But even this year, I think we have a camp that's going to be showing up that's going to be more of like kind of a space themed, kind of like what is it, the 100, where they were exiled into space, but then they came back, and it's still apocalyptic. It's still the end of the world, but there's some more tech there. There's a little bit more technology draw, I think, there. So I'm kind of looking forward to see what their camp shows up looking like.
Nice. Well, that sounds great. So what kind of entertainment, I know you mentioned some stuff that's happened in the past, but what kind of entertainment do you guys have scheduled for this year?
Oh, wow. There's a list.
We got a list.
There's a big list.
And, all right, so we have a Black Thumb build-off. We have an apocalyptic cook-off.
Now hold on, I'm gonna have to explore these as you go. Black Thumb build off.
Yeah.
Killjar actually hosts that.
So is this like are you making vehicles on the fly?
Not quite that much, but I will put together identical kits of items, and I'll normally put together 4 or 5 different kits, and they'll all contain building items, building blocks. Maybe it's all in a coffee can, and there's wire ties, there's screws, there's items in there to make a thing. Now, this thing doesn't necessarily have to be functional, but it does have to prove of an idea that could be functional. We have one guy that made a Pit Boy out of the items one year, which was fucking awesome. And somebody else had made what looked like a still, or like a distillery of some sort. And even though it wasn't, obviously didn't work, but the proof of concept, like the idea, Oh, absolutely. I mean, that could fit the aesthetic. That's totally, you've made something out of this junk that I have given you.
Okay.
And then I kind of work out a scoring system of like, did they use all the pieces and stuff like that. And the thing is that you have to use all the parts in the kit, but then you are allowed to cut them, distress them, paint them, tie them together,
do whatever
you want to them to help in that aesthetic. But only things allowed to be added are bonus items, and those bonus items change from year to year. They most generally have to do with a light bulb or a small fan and a battery source. And those people then have to find camps or other people who are participating in the build off to get those bonus items. And you get bonus points for using them and incorporating them into the build. So
nice.
it's fun.
Right.
I've been getting it better and better every year, but like I said, it's a fun deal.
And it's his baby. And then he had already mentioned kind of like a wasteland cook-off type thing. I had we had it in the past, and I wanted to have it again this year. And I had approached someone, Warboy Von Fury. He has been bringing like salsas and pickled things to events before. And so I'd asked him, I was like, hey, this is kind of your thing. What would you think about hosting, kind of like a cook-off style thing at Atomic Falls? And he was like, hell yeah, sign me up. I want to do that. And so he's going to kind of be in charge of that. But the idea behind it is you'll have random mystery cans, I think, of things that you're given. And then you go back to your camp and you have a certain amount of time to make the food. And then it gets presented and judged at that point. So we'll definitely have that this year.
All right, cool. Yeah, keep going down the list.
Yeah, we have a wonderful stage manager. And she has started working with different tribes and different people to put together specific entertainment for the stage. I don't know if we're going to have a separate like burlesque show this year. I think we're going to have it kind of like an all-in-one variety show on like 2 different nights, like maybe Friday and Saturday night. And so anybody who wanted to, bring something to the table, are you a comedian? Do you play an instrument? Are you a burlesque dancer? Do you dance with flags? Do you spin fire? Anything that could be brought to, I don't know, enhance that variety show. I mean, the possibilities are endless, and she's actively looking for people. So if anybody was interested in that, they could totally sign up for it. And then I don't know if we're necessarily going to have death cart races, but death carts will be there. I think
something will probably happen with death carts.
We'll have a parade. Oh my gosh, what else? There's just like so much stuff that it's a little bit
I know. I know Tiffany with Bartertown. I know she has some stuff that she was wanting to do as well. So, like I said, there's lots of stuff going on. Backyard Bruisers are bringing the Back Road Bruisers are bringing the Chug and Slug, and we've mentioned them before. They're a pretty good sized camp, and they really add a lot to Atomic Falls, and we're glad to see them coming back again this year too.
Yeah, they'll be bringing the Chug and Slug. People who have attended our events before, or even Wasteland Weekend. Chug and Slug was part of the Den.
Yeah.
And so, that's something that people may be familiar with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was amazing. That setup at Wasteland with the courtyard this year and everything. Oh my, well, not this year, but in 2019.
Yes.
That was really impressive.
Yeah, we were actually there in 2018, and we actually were not able to go in 2019 because we ended up buying our house here.
But we were part of the Den's first year.
We were part of the Den's first year, and we were there with Atomic Endings, actually, right next to Chug and Slug, and
that was great. So they'll be there. They'll be bringing that same setup. Anybody who's ever partied with Chug and Slug before, that's going to be coming back this year. We're going to have karaoke. I think the Scullies may be hosting that this year. You don't have to sing well in order to participate in karaoke, obviously.
Well, that's how karaoke goes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a rule, actually.
And then I know our last year that we were able to hold Atomic Falls in 2019, we had somebody that re-envisioned and rewrote a stage play.
Oh, yeah.
And gosh, that was one of like the most popular things from that year.
Nice.
We had, of course, people here in the local area, just simply because we had to get together for rehearsals.
Yeah.
But, we rehearsed and then we got on stage and performed that in 2019. That was great.
That was actually really
It was a lot of fun. It was, there were, you laughed and it was wonderful. And then we're going to have a swimsuit competition this year. I know that's something that we'd had, I believe, the first year, and then it had kind of fallen off. But
is that when the Dirty Boys showed up?
Yeah, that was when the Dirty Boys were there.
Oh my God. Fucking Steve C, fucking Bobby Doug, he got up on stage with Larry. And there was these Germans, and they was the Dirty Boys, and they was getting clean. It was ridiculous.
But there are no photos or videos of that time because because of things. There'll be DJs. There'll be DJs there, so we'll have professional DJs with music. We have our own kind of smaller version of slag races. People who had attended Wasteland Weekend and seen that before. It's a scaled down version, but much the same as what it is out there.
So to those who don't know what slag races are, may not have witnessed the debauchery that is such. People modify vibrators and dildos to race down a sheet of corrugated tin to see who wins.
Yes.
And it is the most ridiculous and fun thing to bet caps on that you'll see this side of the Wasteland.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then we have other stuff that's not necessarily entertainment. We have like missions and quests. And then a game or casino tent.
Yeah.
There's going to be a scavenger hunt. We're putting together a disc golf course. The amount of space that we have to work with at our event site is amazing. And I think there's Wasteland Olympics as well.
Oh yeah,
one of the people that's coming from that the kind of space themed tribe is doing a Wasteland Olympics, and it's much like what it sounds like. Different events that I think that you earn points for. So
I'm looking forward to see what they do with that, because I think that could be a lot of fun to watch too or participate in.
Yeah, there's literally and that's only what we have so far. We are, now that we're getting kind of closer to the event, people are starting to get hyped up and excited, and they're having all these great ideas and sending them to us.
It's like, dude, you better get on it.
Yeah.
we got
it's going to be a lot of fun. Like, there's literally so much that's going to be going on that we don't even know.
We're about 10 weeks out, 9 weeks out. So we're kind of into the crunch time right now, and again with COVID this year, we've really limited our numbers because even though we're an outdoor event, and distancing is more than possible to do. We do encourage still people to wear their masks and stuff when they can't be too far away from one another, and of course we're going to have extra hand washing stations and stuff like that this year too.
Oh, that's great.
Keep everybody safe and just keep it still. I know everybody's looking to party, everybody's looking to get out and see everyone again, but we want to stress that we're still not really all the way out of this yet, and so we've limited our capacity this year, and even though we have released some more tickets, as the vaccines have been getting put in more people, and states are starting to open back up and do more things. We have felt more comfortable with getting more people to the event,
Right.
But we're not just going to go total ham. I mean, we're not going to just let everybody and the freaking dog, come on in if they want to. So, like I said, we're still kind of limiting it this year.
Gotcha. I'm glad to hear that, because that was actually going to be one of my questions was, what about COVID? What are we doing differently this year? So I'm glad that you're doing the hand washing stations and the masks. I mean, there's just these simple baseline things that we can do to make sure that the events still happen, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And to keep, and keep people safe. I think, Killjar and I myself plan to go ahead that Friday before, because we spend an entire week out there at the event site. And so I'm planning on getting tested that
rapid
Friday.
test,
The
whatever.
rapid test Friday before we go out there, because once we're on site, we're on site. So we're basically quarantined. At the end of it, I want to be able to say prior to going, I did not have COVID, and then I made it through the event, and I'll likely get tested a few days after just to make sure I'm safe. That's not something I have to do. That's not something we're telling anybody to do. I just myself feel, I don't know, responsible and make sure that I'm being safe. And hand washing stations, hand sanitizer, not licking each other's whatever.
But that's going to be the hardest thing. That's going to be the hardest thing not to do.
Yes, not to lick each other will probably be hard. But no, I mean, we're still going to have fun, but we're going to be safe about it.
Yeah. And are you guys getting any guidance from Oklahoma on that?
Well, yes and no. Oklahoma's been kind of, I don't know.
I don't want to say they don't care, but they're probably one of the more
like lenient states
Yeah.
as far as not putting any guidance forth. But, we will follow whatever CDC guidelines are in place at that time, because people are
Okay,
like, well, what are you doing? But, what is in place now versus what's in place when the event starts could
when it
change.
happens.
Right.
And so we plan on following that and being responsible.
Yeah, and it sounds like, the timing of your event is going to pretty closely coincide with a lot of states, releasing all of their COVID restrictions, or at least starting to get back into the larger festivals, which kind of reminds me, how many people are going to be at Atomic Falls this year? And is that pretty comparable to what's normal?
This year we're looking at probably right about 200, and it has fluctuated a little less than that and to a little bit more than that. Like I said, it's not a huge event, and we do look forward to growing in the future, but it's kind of like just kind of hovered right around that 200 person mark. I think actually our first year, I think we had like 220 or 230. And then I think in 19, I think we only had like 180-ish or something like that.
Okay, yeah, so right around in the same area,
fluctuates.
though. Yeah, it fluctuates, but I mean, it's by no means comparison to 8,000 and 10,000 person events, like what happened in California. That's I don't think we'll ever see that here. But one of these days, if we could get to about to 500 people, I think that would be really awesome. That would fill out the space that we have there, and just make it for an even better time.
Nice, yeah, and I do love that there are so many festivals around the country that you have an opportunity to not only go to like a Wasteland Weekend where it's 5,000 people, and there are some really localized festivals where I think. What is it? The Junkyard Fest was like 50 people or 60 people, like really intimate.
Yeah, we actually have been to that and to Aftermath, and they're both, they're growing as well, and those cats out there are super cool, and we always like to add content to their event too. They end up coming.
We support each other. I think that's kind of like, I don't know, another thing that we have around here is that we are all small events, and if we can each support each other and
help grow
each other's events and kind of
everybody wins.
Yeah, everybody wins. We see something cool at one event and we're like, man, let's have it at ours, or they see something at that happens at Atomic Falls and they want to have it at theirs. I think that's really great, and that's how we can support each other and grow these smaller events.
Something that's also kind of funny. Frank Zeke, he helps put on Aftermath, and he always wants us to show up at Aftermath. He's like, y'all work way too hard at Atomic Falls. It's like, y'all just need to show up over here and just relax.
Yeah.
So nice. Whenever he shows up at Atomic Falls, I try to tell him the same thing. Like, dude, Zeke, just relax, man. He's like, you work too hard at Aftermath. This is your time to be on vacation.
Yeah,
you hang out and you have fun. So it's, because it's too much work to be having fun at. But it is fun to work at what you love. So
yeah, oh, absolutely. And speaking of which, do you guys have volunteers?
We do. So I don't know. Yes, we have volunteers, and our event could not run without volunteers. I have previously only been in charge of just the medic side of the house, and we had other people, that were in charge of gate and in charge of rangers. This year, I am taking on a different role. I am in charge of all of the volunteers, with making sure, wrangling cats, with making sure that there are leads in place for each of those areas, and that there are enough volunteers for each of those areas. I think it's another part of us being, responsible. Yes, we have to have gate. We have to have people there, make sure, that waivers are signed, that IDs are checked, people are 21 or over, and that they can, armbands are issued. They're told, where in the event they're going to be setting up camp. So we have that crew of people that runs on volunteers. We have our rangers.
Kind of like our fixer people. They run around and they make sure that, a camp isn't taking up too much space, or if someone's car is parked in a stupid area, they can kind of help troubleshoot and help the event in that manner too.
They're kind of our eyes and ears. They, especially in the evenings, whenever people start to,
partake,
drink and whatnot, making sure people are being safe and that they can get back to their camps. Yeah, we also have, the medics, and their scope is limited to, Band-Aids, or saying, we need to clean that out and put a Band-Aid on it. Here's a Band-Aid. We do have trained medical people that are there. If something more serious were to happen, they could evaluate you and say, you need to go to the hospital, or we need to call 911. So we do have all of those things in place. And volunteers are needed for all of those things.
Yeah. Is this something like Wasteland where people can earn a ticket, or are they still ticket holders?
So they're still ticket holders at this point. Because we are using someone else's property, we have to pay a certain amount per person for that person to be there. But going forward, this year will be the start of that. When you volunteer a certain number of hours or shifts, you will earn a discounted ticket for the next year. In addition to some swag for each.
Yeah, some swag there too. Yeah. But we,
in
years past, we've had some troubles with people who would volunteer and then not show up.
Oh, of course.
So then we have these empty spots where it's like, well, crap, Well, we didn't really have a good way of keeping track of like our good people who should be rewarded, and the people who, kind of flaked out, and maybe we don't want them volunteering next year type thing.
Right.
So hopefully this year we can keep a little better track of that, and offer maybe incentive to not only come back again next year, but to show up for your stinking,
for your shift.
For your shift when you need to be there. It's not hard work. It really isn't hard work, but it's still something that, somebody needs to be sitting with at the medic tent, and make sure that if somebody has an issue or a problem, they can get
attention. They're going to get taken care of.
So that's pretty important.
Got it. All right, cool. Well, that's good. So anyone who's looking for a discounted ticket, at least for the next event, can sign up and lend a hand this year.
We hope so.
Yep. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, going all the way back, I remember when you guys were first advertising the first Atomic Falls. It was at a different spot. It was at an abandoned water park. Tell me about that. And this isn't the same location you're using now, right?
No, it's not actually. We first, our very first event was actually at Dog Patch, USA, and it's just outside of Harrison, Arkansas, and it's at Marble Falls, actually, and that's kind of where we ended up getting the name Atomic Falls, and it was a theme park that was set back in the 70s with a bunch of, there's a big water slide, all hail death slide, by the way, because that's what we renamed it. And, there were some rundown buildings and dilapidated structures, and it really set a great backdrop for, it looked like Fallout. I mean, it absolutely looked like some type of encampment or village from Fallout. And it being at that park, and there being such a draw from people who may have grown up visiting there when they were younger or whatever, I think was what really led to being such a hit our very first year, because people wanted to see the inside of the park. Well, the problem with that location, for one, was that it was always meant to be visited. It was meant for people to show up, hang out, and go home. It was never made for people to be setting up camps or actually, living there for 2 or 3 days at a time. So it was very limited there. And moving forward, I always knew that it was going to be a headache. The second thing, and that was probably the biggest part of us leaving that location, was there's a bit of an air of failure that always happens with things that
Yes.
occur at that park. There's always been that way. There's been stuff in the past where they've wanted to do this, or they've wanted to do that, and then everything always falls through. And the owner who had it at the point when we were using it followed suit and was exactly the same, and really kind of forced our hand into having to find a new location. Since then it has sold actually to the people who have I think Bass Pro Shops or something like that, and I think they're going to be doing something special up there. I'm sure making some sort of resort or retreat or something with it. But so yeah, we're at D-Day Adventure Park now, and like I said, it's an airsoft and a paintball park, and they also host other things out there. There's a crap ton of land out there. I think he has, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 acres of property there in Oklahoma, and he
definitely
hosts,
some room to grow, huh?
Definitely
Yes,
a lot of
definitely
room to grow, which is something that we need.
Almost too much room, really, but but yeah. So and that was Dog Patch, and it will be forever holding a soft place in my heart. But I'm kind of glad we're not there anymore.
Got it. But that was also kind of how you guys got your name, right? Atomic Falls.
Yeah. Yeah, so there again, Marble Falls. There was a great big waterfall there, as well as a smaller waterfall where they had an old mill that milled grain and corn and stuff for people dating back well into the 1800s. So there was a lot of history in that part of the country there. But now with us being at D-Day and the park there having so much dilapidated military equipment and the tanks and the airplanes and everything as a backdrop, it's more like a bomb falling. And so the Atomic Falls kind of can just morph over into that.
Yes.
Into that location.
Exactly. Yeah. It was. We were kind of worried about that as well, as far as, okay, we're going from what used to be Atomic Falls USA, a playoff of Dog Patch USA, whose slogan was "Have a heck of a day at Dog Patch USA," and then we had said "Have a hell of a day at Atomic Falls USA," and we're like, well, shit, how are we going to turn this? And it's just like Killjar had said. Instead of falls in the waterfall sense, it's now falls in, the fall of
civilization, fall of the bomb.
Yeah, nice. And thinking back to that first event, did you guys both co-manage that one as well?
We did not. We did not.
We actually met at that event. That's what's kind of funny. I lived in Colorado previously, like before I moved to Arkansas, and I actually lived maybe about 30, 45 minutes from where the event, the first year that took place. And I was on Facebook events, just kind of looking at things going on around there because I came from an area where there was a lot to do. And I saw this event, and it was taking place at Dog Patch, and I had gone there as a child when it was an amusement park.
Oh, so cool.
And so I got kind of interested, and I sent a Facebook message to the group at the time, and they were like, well, hey, here in a couple of weeks, we're having a cleanup day down at the park. Why don't you come down and join us? And so I went down, helped them, clean up the park and get set up for the event. That first year, I did assist with helping coordinate the volunteers and volunteering myself. One of the nights there, Saturday night, because Killjar had kind of caught my eye a little earlier in the event, and believe it or not, I'm kind of like a really kind of weird, awkward person whenever it comes to like hitting on people.
Awkward person who's a wastelander? I don't believe it.
I know, right? But, people think, Slay, she's so kind of loud and outspoken, and that's like totally her personality. And it is, but whenever it comes to things like, telling somebody, I don't know, I was awkward. And so I had this cooler, and it was the very last night of the event, and we were all kind of gathered around the stage there waiting for a show to start, and he comes like walking by, and like I said, I kind of interacted with him a little earlier in the event, and I was like, hey Killjar, I have this cooler full of beer, and I can't drink it all myself. So he ends up like sitting down with me.
Well, hello, let me see if I can help.
Yeah. And so thus began our relationship. And we have, and then we've been together ever since. And that's just, I think that's one of the things that makes us click so well is we are both, I don't know, we're passionate about Atomic Falls. We love the event. I loved it whenever I found out about it on Facebook. And then, when he and I met and we got together, we had a passion for the event. And I am so happy that the two of us have been able to work together. In addition, we have kind of like a board of people, of our friends that are other attendees and event goers, and we all participate and work together to build Atomic Falls.
There's no way that one person or two persons could ever do something like this, not and make it really as good as it can be. Mm-hmm. We rely not only on our participants or participation of the attendees, but we have a backbone of people who not only share the same passion, but they want to see it grow as well. And each one has different aspects that they really excel in. And like me, I do like build crew type stuff. We do setting up of infrastructure and stuff beforehand, where we have a stage coordinator, Stephanie Snacks. She does an awesome job of doing all of our stage type stuff. Mm-hmm. Miss Slay here, she volunteers. She peoples probably better than anyone I know. And Peoples,
yeah,
yes. I don't people real good all the time. I can be a little coarse, and that's part of where I got my wasteland name. Actually, Killjar was my sometimes coarseness on people's ideas on things. And I think that's actually even turned into a phrase now. I'm just going to go ahead and Killjar this one right now.
Yeah. He will take your idea and he will slap you in the face with reality.
Hey, I'm a builder. I know what works and what doesn't work. But I also want to hear your idea. I'm not gonna bust it up until I know it's dumb.
Or be like,
there you go.
Yeah, or he is okay. Well,
hey, we don't.
The way you're going is that ain't gonna work. However, let me show you how it will work.
How about this? Try it this way, because we all think about things differently. We all see things through a different shade of glasses, and even though it's similar to others, you may have thought about an idea that I've never even considered yet. And if you want to pitch this idea to me, because I have a mechanically inclined mind and I can kind of see things in a 3-dimension. I want to hear your idea. And I have to say, there's another short story. A buddy of mine came to me. He's like, man, I had this idea for a hover bike. What? A hover bike, huh? Dude, okay, yeah, let's, how are you going to do this hover bike thing? And he starts pitching it. And I'm like, hang on a second. Let me just pause you real quick. I said, don't you think there's probably people in this world who have more money, more knowledge, and more abilities than you and I that have thought about hover bike before? He's like, well, yeah, but just hear me out. Just hear me out. And he keeps talking about it. And I'm just kind of looking at him wide-eyed. And he yeah, sorry, dude. You're right. That was a dumb idea. I was like, no. It's an awesome idea, dude. Don't get me wrong. That's an awesome idea, but
it ain't going to work.
We ain't going to do it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, there's a lot of our people, our crew of individuals, we really rely on a lot to help with the event, and there's no way we could do it without them.
Yeah. So you guys now have, 3 events under your belt. Is that right?
Let's see, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, because we missed last year. There's 3.
Yeah, and you're going into your 4th. So you've definitely, I'm sure, had a very quick learning curve and figured out a lot about running events. So my question is, if there are Wastelanders out there that are like, man, let's put on our own event where we are and we'll do our own thing, what should they know before jumping in?
Attend events first and foremost. It's,
100%.
Especially smaller events like ours. Go, and ask,
volunteer.
Yeah,
see what's going on. See things from behind the scenes.
Ask questions of those that run the event. Bounce your ideas off of them. You can see firsthand what would work. Like I said, just talk to the people that run the event, and they can tell you, okay, this is what worked for us, and this is what didn't. We're a family of smaller events, and we all work together and bounce ideas off of each other. You need to have an idea of land of where it is that you want to hold the event. We experienced it with Dogpatch. It was a great backdrop, but not room to grow. So that was something
you got to
we
have a
learned
backdrop,
from.
and backdrop is something.
Yep,
That's really
have a
pretty
backdrop, have room to grow. What is going to be your appeal? What's going to make your event different from other events? Get insurance. Like that's the thing is like, I think that's something that like people overlook is insurance. But I mean, I really enjoy my house and my property and the things that I own, and I want to keep it that way.
And just because somebody does something stupid because they're drunk and they're at your party, if they wanted to, they could be a serious freaking asshole.
Because a waiver doesn't cover a waiver's not going to cover your ass. You have waivers.
It does a portion of it, but it will not.
But it won't cover everything. Rely on others. Don't let it be an event that you do everything. Nobody's coming to see you. They're coming to an event. Depend on others. The world. Yeah, depend on others. Reach out to attendees. Network with other events. Have not necessarily a staff, but a group of you that you can kind of all bounce ideas off of.
And take hold of different aspects of it too. I mean, if you have someone who's inherently better, talking to people or doing internet stuff or
peopling.
Yes, peopling.
Yeah. And you have other people that can swing a hammer and weld on things and build stuff. That person is not going to do very good at peopling or computer stuff. So you have people who can do all things pretty well, or even more importantly, have the time to do all those things and do them fairly well. Yeah. But, we both work full time. Slay goes to school. And then here we are trying to pull this event off as well with our core group of friends who also all have lives. They all work. We all have jobs and families. So there's some juggling there that has to happen too.
I think the biggest pull away is network and rely on others. Ask for help. Don't make it all about you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I have done pretty well at doing more of that. I was always one who, if I wanted to build something, if I wanted to make something, I needed to do it myself because that's the only way it was going to happen right. So knowing now that I can kind of release that a little bit, and I know when I need help, and I know when I need to, call on somebody else, I think that's been, a growing point for myself personally. So.
Awesome. Great. So, all right, I want to start to try to wrap things up a little bit, but what do you guys see for the future of Atomic Falls?
Oh, wow. I mean, we want it to grow for sure. And I know me personally, and I think Killjar probably feels a bit the same way. We want Atomic Falls to be on people's list of events they want to go to. We want people to say, wow, I was at Atomic Falls last year and I had one hell of a good time. And I'm going to go to Atomic Falls next year and I'm going to bring some friends with me. So we want the event to grow. We want it to be an event that people want to come back to. He had said earlier, 3,000 to 5,000 people. That is not a goal.
No.
The goal is to get bigger and grow larger, and to be a wasteland destination, a post-apocalyptic festival that people want to come back to year after year.
I mean, you guys have an awesome aesthetic. You obviously put a ton of planning into it. You've got a great group of people behind it. I mean, I'm excited about it.
Well, if you were to come, you'd probably get to see all that makeshift. I mean, I don't know. You could talk about Disneyland or you can go to Disneyland. I
mean, you make a really good point.
I know I do.
All right. So where can people find all their information, buy tickets, all that? What's your links? What's your socials?
Well, we have, of course, a page that you can go to, Atomic Falls. Is it AtomicFallsUSA.com?
Yes.
AtomicFallsUSA.com. You can get on Facebook and search Atomic Falls. We have both an event page in addition to a like page and a group. Our Instagram is at Official Atomic Falls. That's something that is growing. I think we probably need to add a social media wizard to our team, because I am utterly failing at the social media. But it's
hard. It's not easy.
We have those things up. If anybody has questions, you can send them. One of the quickest ways to get a response from us is to message on Facebook Messenger.
Awesome. Well, that's great, guys.
And burnertickets.com is where you need to head to pick up some tickets. And there are some links on Facebook
On our
pages.
Facebook page, we have a link to burnertickets.com where you can go to purchase tickets. As of this morning, we have a very limited number left. Each and every time that we have added more tickets as things have relaxed in society, we've sold out, and we expect to sell out again.
Awesome. Well, that's great, guys.
So as of right now, I think we got about 30 left. So if y'all are listening to this, you need to get on there and check it out.
Awesome. And then I'm sure we're going to get lots of pictures and videos after the event posted to those websites.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure. Yeah, we are thankful that we have professional photographers that attend our events. I think Thomas Kearns, I think TK is going to try to attend this year, and he had mentioned a drone. So that'll be great. We have Ed Lee. He's another really wonderful photographer, and he comes. And then we have a lot of amateur photographers that are out there as well, because we offer such a great backdrop.
Yeah.
So in addition to those professional photographers, people will be posting pictures and events that are attending, and we like to share those on our social media pages. So after the event, we highly encourage people to post those or send them to us so we can post them.
Awesome. Well, guys, this has been really fun. It's been great to get to chat with you and learn more about Atomic Falls.
Yeah, and maybe see you.
We'd love to see you, Makeshift.
I'm really hoping. There is some real world stuff that's just always getting in the way.
It happens.
For sure.
It happens. I understand that fully.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you guys are definitely on my destination list. If not this year, then next year. I'm going to try to make it happen because I want to.
Yes, and we would love to have you out there. I've interacted, with you before, and you have such a great personality, and I'd like to see more of you in person instead of just watching all your really cool kick-ass interviews and videos on social media.
Oh, thanks, Slay.
Oh man, I tell you, you had me a little intimidated. I was like, man, watch this one on like Mark Cordori.
Yeah.
Oh crap. I'm coming in after him. Like shit.
You can't hold a candle to that guy. He's a magical wasteland
awesome dude.
Yeah. But no, we really appreciate you having us and talking to us and allowing us to talk about Atomic Falls. It's something that we're passionate about, and anybody who wants to come, we want them to come, and we hope to see you there.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna try my darndest.
All right.
Sounds good.
Makeshift, thanks again, buddy.
Yeah, thank you, Killjar and Slay. I appreciate you coming on. And either way, I'm going to check in with you after the event and see how everything went.
All right,
fantastic.
Sounds good.
Fantastic.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Apocalypse Postcast, a podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends. And if you hated it with all of your guts, send it to your enemies on water skis pulled by a skyboat. Until next time, survivors, stay alive. Hey survivors, if you want to help support the Apocalypse Post and get some rad merch in exchange, head over to theapocalypsepost.square.site, where you can pick up some patches, postcards, or our newest edition, a set of guitar picks. Or get yourself a limited edition Apocabob pin. This little man is showing the world that all it takes to survive the end times is a gas mask and a dream of, well, just staying alive.